Welcome to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast, brought to you by Phoenix Boats. Now, here are your hosts, Alabama Bass Trail Program Director, Kate Donaldson.
Welcome into the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. I'm Kay Donaldson, the director of the Alabama Bass Trail and the host for this week's podcast. This is your pre-Thanksgiving podcast for the week of November the 24th. Big week ahead. This is my absolute favorite holiday. I know a lot of people probably get caught up in the Christmas holiday and the decorations and everything. And I do love the Christmas season, but it is my favorite holiday. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It's where it's all about just getting together, being thankful, being with friends and family, the food, the fellowship. We play games at my mom's house. We decorate her Christmas tree. And it's just really a good time for reflecting and looking forward. And Thanksgiving, I can think back as long as I can, remember. Thanksgiving's always been that time of just being thankful. It's when all of our family would come in, whether they're from Michigan, Illinois, whatever, they would come in. And it's still this way a lot. Actually, Sunday, my cousin from Kalamazoo, Michigan will be in. And my family's always just stopped what you're doing and you just get together. As a kid, I can remember being like, oh, I wanted to go to the skating rink or I wanted to go do this with my friends, but my mom's making me go to this crazy family function, And as the older you get, the more you realize why they do that. And family is certainly where you're centered. It is who you are. It is why you are. It is goes so much into growing the individual that you are now. And I can remember that. I can remember being a selfish little snotty teenager and wanting to spend time with my friends. And that was the most important thing to me. But certainly now that I'm older, my kids are older, time with them and time with my mom, my sister, you're realizing that it's growing close to an end, and that's not what we want. I just posted this week on my Facebook page a reminder that 6 years ago, my mom had a stroke. And I think that the timing that it happened and ending the season and having that time to be with her and watch her rehab through that, it really taught my sister and I a lot. I think it taught our kids a lot as well. I just think having that around the Thanksgiving holiday is just a reminder for me that don't sweat the small things, let those go and really, try to conquer those bigger items and let the loose ends drag. And I say I'm going to do that every year, and I'm going to really, really try hard to do that. But it is my favorite holiday. I hope that you are able to get together with your friends and family. For a lot of us, our work families are our families because that's who we see the most. And I'm fortunate enough to say at the end of this podcast, you're going to get to see some messages from some of the people that play a vital and important role in the Alabama Bass Trail, from our team members to our live team to our board of directors. You're going to get to see some messages from them. So very thankful that they were willing to participate in that with me. So we'll let you see some of those. And but it's great. It's a great time of the year. I don't know if you can see out my back window, and all of the leaves are just about on the ground. So that's good for me because I hate leaves. I hate leaves being in my grass, and they are almost all gone. So that's also another great thing about fall. But I just can't explain what it's like walking into my mom's house and the smell of mom's house. Before the stuffing and the turkey and the deviled eggs and the cranberry sauce and the pecan pies and all the things. It's just the smell of being at your mom's or being home, I guess. It is certainly something that I am excited about. Again, I love the Christmas season. I love the reason for the season, but Thanksgiving to me is about coming home. And it's pretty special for me. So I did promise you last week that I would give you the dates we would be off the air. Not that I think you're going to mark your calendars and work your schedule around it, but we will be off the air December 22nd and December 29th unless I'm able to pre record those shows for you. I will try to do an end of the year show just because I think it's cool to kind of wrap up the end of the year. But if not, we will not be on the air on the 22nd or on the 29th those weeks. So, this may be a little bit lengthy podcast because I don't want to rush through my interview with Fisher Anaya. I think that what he has accomplished this year, and I'll be honest with you, I call myself looking at stats. I call myself watching to see where our anglers line up. But honestly, until I sat down and did my research, I don't know if you can see that. This is an entire page of just this year on Fisher Anaya. And then, of course, I've got my Bassmaster Elite schedule for next year. I want to just touch on a couple of things. Before I bring Fisher on, I want to touch on a couple of things. Bassmaster, 17 tournaments. 9 times out of 17, he was in the money. 13 top 30s. We're not talking about a field of 50 boats. We're talking about plus 200 boats. 13 times in the top 30 out of 17 tournaments. Insane, if you ask me. MLF, he has 19 tournaments, 9 top 10s, and a win at Kentucky Lake. 9 top 10s out of 19 tournaments and a win. I'm going to go into his entire schedule when I get him on the air. But I also want to point out these finishes are not on his home lake in Gunnersville or in his home state of Alabama, all of them. It's from Tennessee to Texas to Kentucky to Arkansas to Minnesota to Florida. I have no idea how many miles he's put on the vehicle this year, but I have to say it's quite a bit. But we're going to talk about each one of those. We're going to start February the 5th, and we're going to roll right on through November the 15th. And we're going to talk about the schedule that this young man, who just yesterday, the 20th of November, turned 20 years old. I cannot imagine my 19-year-old son putting this kind of mileage on his vehicle, towing a boat all over the continental United States to compete in bass fishing tournaments. But we're going to talk to Fisher just a little bit. And I watched a video of Logan Parks did the other day on his Insane tournament, which is a phenomenal event. But I listened to him talk about the hate that's in this industry, and a lot of it geared toward the young kids because they are considered scopers or cheaters. You're using the cheater box or whatever. This is my take on that, and I think you've heard me say this before. Those people out there that are grabbing those headlines or having all of that negative conversation about the fishing industry, all of you have a choice whether or not to watch that or not. And when you watch it, all it does is encourage more of it. It's for likes, clicks, views, and dollars into their creator funds. It doesn't do one thing beneficial for our industry. Not one thing. You can say, oh, well, they brought this to light, and they brought this to light, and they brought this to light. Do you think we're in a better spot now than we were 5 years ago? You have the option to watch those creators that are tearing down this industry. Or you have an option to watch creators that have cute dogs or that are teaching you how to tie knots or how to do this or how to drop shot. But Logan was talking about the negativity that has surrounded this industry over the past 18 to 24 months. And he highlighted the fact that the kids, the college and high school kids that fished his tournament voluntarily played the national anthem. Was not planned, was not rehearsed, was not a part of what they do. Like with the Alabama Bass Trail, we're not going to start a weigh in. We're not going to start a takeoff without playing it. This was unrehearsed, but it was something that the kids did. I don't care what age you are, there are good and bad in all age brackets. In all genres, there are good and bad. Um, Female, male, there's good and bad. You can choose to look at that and find that and pick apart that, or you can try to be more of the solution. And I think when you click on a certain person's rant, whether it be on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you're feeding that. It's for likes, clicks, views, and dollars in a creator fund. I think our industry's better than that. I look at what this industry has accomplished, and I'm this outside of the Alabama Bass Trail, but the number of families that it has provided jobs to, and I'm not talking about professional anglers. I'm talking about people that work on service crews. I'm talking about people who work inside the Chevrolet factories, like my mom did for 27 years. I'm talking about people who are building the trucks, building the boats. I look at Phoenix Boats and look at the people that they've been able to employ over the lifespan of their company. I look at people who work for Power Pole, who work for Yamaha, who work for Lewis and Strike King and Rapala. I look at those people and the jobs that they've been able to create and the way that those people have been able to care for their families. And I see the good in our industry. There are bad in every industry. There's bad in golf. There's bad in football. There's bad in basketball. There's bad in baseball. The cheating scandals, all the things. There's so much in every sport. But they deal with it and then they move on. And it's like the fishing industry cannot let it go. We have so many good things that happen in our industry that get swept under the rug because of one person's bad decision or a company's bad decision. There are a lot of great things about the fishing industry. And I tend to think that a good portion of that's going to come from this younger generation. Um, I think what Kevin Van Dam started years and years ago, Gerald, the skeet races, the Gerald Swindles, the Kevin Van Dams, um, even the Marty Stones. I had an opportunity to get to know Marty a little bit several years ago. A lot of good has come from this industry. And we can choose to continue down the road we're on and we won't have an industry, or we can continue to be the change. I don't know why I got off on that rant. That is not anywhere in my notes. That is not, my notes are even buried. That's not even anywhere in my notes. Um, I don't know why I went on that rant. I just felt led to, I guess. Um, I know why, because I am thankful for this industry. I can tell you 15 years ago, if you would have asked Kay Donaldson what she would be doing at age 53, it would not be showing up at a boat ramp at 5:30 or 2:30 in the morning. It wouldn't be working till 10 o'clock at night, worried about whether or not Chapel Hill, Tennessee is capitalized in a live report that's going to go on TV. I can tell you that nowhere in my career path that I see of being at a boat ramp for 18 hours a day. That was not my career path. But I'm thankful that it took this route. I'm thankful to be doing what I'm doing. And I hope to be working in the fishing industry for a long time. I'm not necessarily saying I want to be at the boat ramp at 2:30 for the rest of my life or until I retire, but I'm thankful for this industry. I'm thankful for meeting people like Teresa Johnson at Phoenix Boats. That leads me to getting to know her daughter, Scout, and people like Gary Klaus, people like Tammy Reese, my boss. who is a phenomenal individual. People like Sugar Walker and Mike Hearn, Lisa Evans, Rex Chambers, Mr. Kenny Carroll. I'm thankful that this industry has allowed me to meet these people. Luke Duncan, Darian Craig, knew Darian a long time ago, but I met him through the fishing industry. Kenny Curnow, our TV producer. So many good people have walked into my life because of this job. And I'm thankful for that. And I sit and really ingest that at this time of the year. I mean, it is this time of the year that I do sit back and think about that more and more, because we are in the Thanksgiving season. We're in the grateful season. And I do think about that. And it is infuriating to see what has transpired a little bit in our industry. So I did not mean to get on that rant. One thing I didn't mention, that when I talked about the BASS and the MLF stuff, getting back to Fisher, and before I bring him on, Fisher's fished with his dad, Ryan, in the Alabama Bass Trail for 2 years, 12 tournaments, 1 win, 5 top 10s, 3 top 20s, 1 top 30, 9 out of 12 checks. The only 2 that they've missed have been a 37th place. Well, no, they got a check in Pickwick at 37th place. The 2 that they missed checks on were the 69th and 115th at Neely Henry. Fisher and I've talked about that lake several times. Ryan and I've talked about that lake several times. It just has their number. I know Fisher's probably glad that the Elite Series is not going to Neely Henry this year. That's a pretty impressive resume. I also want to point out that in the last 2 championships, he's had a 2nd place finish and a 4th place finish in the Alabama Bass Trail Championships. Say what you want to, but the kid puts his time in. And Flat showed it at Wheeler this year. We've watched him fish a lot of times. And, to be 19 years old and be able to handle himself on the water the way he does, and then also the way he handles himself on camera, and to be as humble as he is really cool to see. Been a lot of fun watching him grow through high school. Been a lot of fun watching him grow through the Alabama Bass Trail. Take that on through the Opens, and now we get to see him on display at the Bassmaster Elite Series in 2026. We're going to talk about his season from Alabama to Texas to Minnesota to Florida. We'll talk about his season in just a little bit, and then we're going to focus on the 2026 Bassmaster Classic. We might slip in some team championship information there as well. But y'all stay tuned. We'll be back on the Alabama Bass Trail podcast here in just a little bit with your EQ Angler of the Year, Bassmaster Elite Series angler now, Fisher Anaya. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Big banks only care about one thing: ROI. So when it comes to your small business, you can expect a big no. At AmFirst, we don't just invest in your business. We invest in you and your goals. With great rates on loans, lines of credit to help you grow, and business checking accounts. Because at AmFirst, business is personal.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast presented by Phoenix Boat. And he's not in his Phoenix right now, but he has flat run that son of a gun to death this year, haven't you? Fisher Anaya.
It's been all over the world.
Well, let me back up. The EQ Angler of the Year and Bassmaster Elite Series angler, Fisher Anaya. How does that sound?
It sounds great. It ain't really set in yet, I don't think, and I don't know if it's going to till I get to the first tournament and I realize like who the guys I'm fishing against are. But it sounds great.
Dude, it was so neat to watch just the whole transformation. I mean, from the beginning of last year when you started fishing with us, and then this whole year. So I want to point out he is actually on the water. If you can't believe that, he's actually on the water doing some work in the little 10 rig, getting that little 10 rig. Hey, dude, I want to talk about this, and I told him at the beginning of the podcast, and you went on here, this is going to be a little bit of a long show because I just got to say. You started first tournament that's on paper February the 5th at Pickwick.
Yes, ma'am.
That's up in Tennessee. You finished 47th. Guys, I want y'all to listen to this. This is just what I know about that he's fished. This isn't Tuesday nighters or one-off events or anything like that. February the 5th, a Toyota event on Pickwick, over 150 boats for sure, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then he comes to Smith Lake right off of that. I remember you driving in to the meeting from that event. An Alabama Bass Trail North Division on Smith Lake, finished 11th in that event. Then turn around and go to Rayburn. Go to Sam Rayburn on February the 14th, sometime around in there, for an open,
Yes,
200
ma'am.
plus boats, right?
Yes, ma'am.
9th place. Crazy. Then, had a week or two off. And then went over to a Bassmaster Open on Kentucky Lake, 11th place. At that point, you're 4 tournaments in, no below top 50s. Look at me, my dadgum little hand there.
Rose on me there for a minute. It's dang raining out here.
I know. I'm going to try to hurry up with it. But this is just so phenomenal to me to look at your schedule this year. Went to Kentucky Lake, had 11th place finish, came back to Guntersville. We were postponed a day. You needed to be somewhere else practicing up at Chick, but you stayed at Guntersville. You had a 5th place finish there at Guntersville. Then you go on to Chickamauga the very next week, March the 18th, Toyota event at Chick, 7th place finish. Insane. Drive all the way from Chickamauga over to Norfolk Lake in Arkansas on April the 3rd, 11th place finish. I cannot believe this. I've read it 100 times and still can't believe it. April the 8th, Toyota event on Kentucky Lake. You won that event. Talk about that a little bit, dude.
That one was weird. It was that was that time of year we had all that rain, and like Norfolk rose like 28 foot in 2 days. And it was supposed to be like a 4-hour drive from Norfolk to Kentucky Lake, and it took us 10. All the roads were flooded. Like, we couldn't hardly find a way out of Arkansas. Finally got out of there and got to Kentucky Lake. I got 2 days of practice, and it was rolling mud. The water was like, I think it rose like 4 or 5 foot when we was there. And on a TVA, that's a lot. That rose a ton in a couple of days, and everything was blown out mud. And I found this one area that was cleaning out each day, and those smallmouth just stacked in there.
Fun event. I was watching from a long way away, but just talking back and forth with your dad and your mom and all the energy that was going there. But right now you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tournaments in, and you're at April 3rd, and you're 8 big tournaments. I'm not talking about a Tuesday nighter, dude. I'm talking about 8 major events in, and you're April the 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Insane. Or April 8th. Turn around, come back to Neely Henry. I've already said it on the podcast. The only 2 tournaments that you have not gotten a check in the Alabama Bass Trail have been on Neely Henry.
I don't even like that. I don't know what to say about that place. Like, it gets my number every single time, no matter, like, I've had good practices and then absolutely just bomb come the tournament.
Well, I bet you're glad that one's not on the Bassmaster Elite Series for 2026.
Thank God. We still got to go on the 100s, though.
You do have to go on the 100s. All right. Then you go to the Alabama Bass Trail at Weiss Lake. You had a 22nd place finish there. Then turn around and go back to Guntersville for a Toyota event on May the 14th, a 15th place finish there. Probably a little disappointed in that finish, if I had to guess.
It was a little tough on me. Like, a lot of those guys figured out a scope and bite, and I never did. So I just went through a frog all week and ended up making a little bit of money. So I can't complain. It was fun. I bet I caught 50 a day on a frog.
50 a day on a frog. That's a fun bite, dude.
Oh, it was a blast.
100% the frog bite is my favorite bite. I don't care what frog you're throwing. A frog bite is my favorite bite. Love it. Love it. Love it.
It was a blast.
All right. So May 14th, we were at Guntersville, Toyota event at Guntersville. Then June 14th, Pickwick, 37th place finish. Probably not happy with that one either.
No, practice was great for that one. Like, if you'd asked me what you going to catch, I'd have told you 30. And I don't know what happened. They all kind of just vanished. But, hold on a minute. This rain's getting me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Take me to the truck real quick. I'm going to get in take me to the truck real quick. I'm going to jump in the truck.
Okay.
But no, I wasn't happy with that one. That one kind of got my number. It was a little rough for some reason. I don't know. My fish just moved. There was all the big ones left. I still caught, I bet, 40 or 50 fish. They was all just 3-pounders.
Wow. Then you make a move and go up to Minnesota in August the 15th at Leech Lake.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you realize you weren't in Alabama anymore when you got up to Leech Lake? I mean, were you like...
That was a long freaking drive. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I felt like I was never gonna get there. It's just you keep going and going and going, and all you hear about smallmouth up there. And I think I caught a total of like 2 smallmouth in a week of fishing up there. I caught all largemouth, caught them all on a frog again. And if you want to put a bucket lake to go to and throw a frog, go to that place. Like, they bite. I mean, there ain't no telling how many I caught in 2 days of fishing up there. Like, I went through a frog a day. Like, it just starts sinking.
Well, you had a 24th place finish. Not a bad deal up there at Leech Lake. Then you turn around and have your first EQ qualifier at Champlain. Again, from Minnesota, now we're going over to New York to Champlain. 19th place finish in your first EQ. What were you thinking after that day? You knew you had to get inside that top 10 to make the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Yeah, it was, I kind of was like, it was a good enough finish to where I didn't think I was out of it. So I still had a shot to make it. I knew I needed to catch them in the next 2 to have a chance, because those guys in those opens, they don't play. Like, they're going to catch them. So I was a little like, I wish I'd have finished a little higher, but I'm still in it enough to not fall. Like, I still got a shot to make it.
Good deal. You leave there, you come home for your second EQ on Wheeler Lake, a lake you've got a lot of time on. Probably not as much time as Guntersville, but a lot of time on. And then you had a 5th place finish there. Did that make you feel a little bit better in your EQ situation?
Yeah, it jumped me all the way to 3rd in AOY. So I was like, you can't ask for a much better finish there when you get to fish next to your house. So I was like, it'd have been nice to win, but I never was on the fish to win. It was still kind of tough. So it was like, kind of just went fishing each day, and each day on that place I figured something new out, and each day my weights got better and better. So the first day hurt me a little bit. I wasn't able to get on a big bag, and that's kind of what dug me in the hole.
Did that help you going into the ABT Championship, which was literally 2 weeks later?
You would say yes, but honestly, no. All my fish left. Like, all the areas I caught them on in the EQ was dang near dry. So they moved. I had to re-find them. And, I mean, they were on some dots I knew. I figured the fish I was catching were going to go to. And then practice for the ABT Championship, like, I literally made 3 casts and caught 3 over 5. And I was like, we can win right here. We just got to hunker down.
Well, from Champlain, New York to Decatur, Alabama for your EQ, back to Decatur, Alabama for the Bass, for the ABT Championship, and then all the way down to Okeechobee, Florida. You had, I want to point out, in the ABT Championship, 2nd place finish. You did have a dead fish penalty, which I know hurt. We were just, a pound and 2 ounces out of winning that event?
I think I was a pound and 1/100th of an ounce out of winning. If I'm not mistaken, you gonna come up here and sit in the truck, or you gonna fish? We didn't bring no.
That's all right. Hey, it's fun. I think it's fun to see kind of what goes on behind the scenes. I don't think anybody has an idea of what it takes to pull off what you've just accomplished, but then also, sometimes getting these podcasts done.
Hey, I guess I misread the text. I thought it was on Monday, and I'm like, oh, we ain't got nothing planned today. And you text me, I was like, oh, shoot, I must have misread that.
It's all right. It's no problem. Traveling down to Okeechobee, you're sitting 3rd in the EQ points. How much time had you put in on Okeechobee over the long history of your life, your whole 19 years? How many times had you been to Okeechobee?
None. That was the first time I showed up, first day of practice, and that was probably the most stressful event I've ever fished in my life. I dumped the boat in the first day, and I caught, like, in a daylight to dark, I ended up catching like 3 bass. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm thinking, oh, this ain't good. Like, I got to figure something out. Second day I went out, we had a massive cold front hit. So it kind of hurt everything, made it a lot tougher. the wind was blowing like 50, 60 mile an hour for the last 2 days of practice. And anybody that knows Florida, when it goes from 80 and 90 degrees down to 29, they ain't going to bite too great. And I put the boat in that second day, and I caught 3 bass the second day. All of them was over 7 pounds. And I'm like, I got a chance. If I can just hunker in here and catch them. The last day I caught 1 bass. And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I pulled in there and I just stuck it out all day in that one area, and I could get a big 1 to 3 big bites a day out of there. And the first day I got 1, it was a 9-pounder. And then the second day I caught a 5 and a 6. And then the third day I caught 2 6s and a 5. I'm like, I don't know. And I didn't even catch a limit the second day I was there. I only had 4 fish.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't complain. It was definitely a grinder week. Like that's a tournament you don't want to have on the last one, because you're just scratching your head. Lunchtime, you ain't got no fish. You're like, what am I going to do? Like you don't want to fall out of it.
Right.
So it was definitely a stressful event.
Well, I mean, and knowing the class of anglers that you're fishing against, we always say in the Alabama Bass Trail, they're the best of the best, but you get to that EQ and you've got the top 50 in both of those divisions. And you got guys like Russ Lane, who's been at the Bassmaster Elite Series, who's been on the BPT, and he's breathing down your throat for that EQ AOI. But I mean, it's not an easy feeling out there. I mean, it's never finished until it's finished, is it?
No. And it's like the whole time I'm there, I'm thinking, these guys are going to find a way to catch 20 pounds a day. It's going to take weight. And honestly, the weight sucked really bad compared to what I thought they was doing. Because like when I come in the first day and had like 14 pounds, I'm thinking I'm going to be in 30th, 40th place, and I was in 8th. So it kind of, after the first day, it eased me up a little bit, because I was like, all right, all I need the next day is another 13 pounds, and I'm golden. And that's what I did with 4 fish. And after like midday the first day, I was worried, and then once I weighed in, it kind of eased my mind, and that allowed me to go out the next day and just fish calm, because I knew I only needed 2 or 3 bites.
Absolutely incredible. I was looking at your stats, and I said these in the first half of the podcast. You fished 17 Bassmaster events, 9 times you've been in the money, 13 top 30s. 13 out of 17 you've been in the top 30. It's pretty incredible, Fisher. I mean, your numbers, MLF, 19 tournaments, 9 times inside the top 10, and you've got a win. Alabama Bass Trail, 10 out of 12 events, you've had checks. Neely Henry is your nemesis there. Do you have any idea how many miles you put on the truck in boat this year?
Oh, a lot. I mean, I think my truck, when I started this year, had like probably 30-something thousand on it, and now it's already up to 80.
Wow. So when you took off to Minnesota, were you driving by yourself?
Oh yeah, I drove 16 hours to Mille Lacs, which is a phenomenal fishery. If you ain't ever been, go. And I drove up there and met a buddy of mine that I ended up rooming with for that one. We fished all like a week there, and then I left and drove the 3 hours with him up to Leach, which was like 19 hours from the house. And then I was ready to come home. So as soon as I weighed in, I slept for an hour and turned and started driving, and drove all the way home.
So they mentioned that you're from Eva, Alabama. Can you give us the population of Eva, Alabama?
Probably 15 people. I don't know. Not many. 15 including me.
It's not a 4-digit number. It's definitely a 3-digit number.
100%. Like it can't be over like 400 or 500 people. Like there's no way. And it's a small town. Everybody knows everybody, but I couldn't ask for a better place to live. I mean, I get to go 20 minutes down the road to like 4 or 5 different lakes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We hear all the time about electronics and technology and all of that. I've personally watched you be on the water every minute that you can possibly be on the water. It is your job. It is your job. So talk about that just a little bit. Like, what do you think on an average week? How many hours do you spend on a body of water?
Oh man, it really depends. Like if I got a tournament and there's no like off limit days or anything like that, or even if there is, like for the ABT, we get 3 days of practice. I'm there daylight till dark. I take out and I do it 3 days in a row. And in an average week with no just me going fishing, I mean, I'll fish at least 5 days a week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'll get up in the morning. Riley's got work most of the time, so I don't want to sit at the house and not do nothing. I'll go fish till she gets off work at 5, and then go in and meet her at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can just say, no, 10, about probably 50 hours. I don't know, somewhere in that range.
And it's a job. It's not you're just out there. I mean, you're looking at new products. I know you do a lot with Crush City with Rapala and Crush City and all of that. But you're looking at your graphs, you're honing your skills, and to me, whether it's technology, whatever, time on the water and watching nature and how things move and how current affects this and all that sunlight, bright bluebird sky, shiny days, and then overcast days. All of that is work. I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun until you're out there and it's raining on you, like you were just doing a while ago. I mean, it is all work.
Yeah, it's consistently each day is different, and that's the reason I go so much. Because I mean, you can catch them on a Tuesday and they bite their face off, and you don't really know why. And then the tournament gets done, they don't bite, and you have no clue why they're not biting, why they moved, anything like that. So if you put a lot of time in on the water, I mean, you got to pay attention to little details. It's not put your trolling motor down, got scope, and they're sitting on this rock pile and they're here and they're gonna be here and never move. Like a lot of times, I find them on a rock pile. I'll check the current, I'll check the weather, everything, wind direction, all that can change it. So living on the TVA, you really got to pay attention to current, wind, bluebird skies, clouds. All this stuff plays into a big role.
Do you keep notes about that kind of stuff? You're young. You probably have a lot of mental capacity left. I'm old and I would have to write all of that down. But like, is that kind of things that you make notes of and say, from time to time?
I mean, most I can. It's weird. You ask me a school question, I'm gonna forget it in 2 minutes, and then it's like fishing. I mean, I can pull up to a lake I ain't been to in 6 years and tell you when I was 4 years old, I caught one off a rock pile over here, and the current was 32,000. Like it's something in my head. It just sticks every time I figure something out. I don't forget it. Like I ain't got to write down nothing. I can tell you that a mile current that it was blowing at Wheeler when we was there in the EQ and where they was set up and why. Like it's weird. I can't explain it, but I don't have to take any notes. Like I can just remember it.
Well, I will say when we watched you at the championship, you were bound and determined you were going to scope on the flats. That's where you were going. And you stood out there in a lot of wind. That second day, it was really windy. How do you mentally prepare for that? Because you knew the day before, because you told us, I don't know if we'll be able to stay out there tomorrow, but you knew that's where you had to be. How do you get your confidence and how do you mentally prepare for that day?
A lot of it's just time on the water, and I mean, it's like you gain confidence in what you're doing. So, like, if I had no idea what was going on or anything like that, and didn't know the amount of quality of that fish that was sitting on the flats, I probably wouldn't have sat out there the whole day. Like I would have had something else playing in my mind to go try something different. So I knew what was there, and I told Dad, I was like, we're just gonna have to hunker down and fish and pray we get 5 bites. That's all we need is 5 bites, and we'll have a good bag. And luckily, I think we ended up catching. It was probably our best catching day. We probably caught 15 or 20 fish. So it was like one of those deals. You got to have confidence in what you're going to do.
I agree with that. I know that you've spent some time in the boat with Gerald. You spent time at his house. I mean, we're really good friends with them as well. But is there another angler that you feel like that you have kind of looked up to or kind of tried to model after, or have you just decided that I'm going to blaze my own trail and do it my way?
I mean, definitely G and my dad. I mean, I'll smack talk him all the time, say he ain't that good, but he's really good. Like you get in the boat and fish with him, and you're like, this old man can fish. So it's like, I mean, definitely those two, the two people that I've looked up to, because it's like two people I spent the most time with. But in my own way, I'm like, I need to fish how I'm gonna fish. I don't need to go try to be Ryan and I don't need to try to be Gerald Swindle. I just need to be Fisher and go do what I'm good at.
I agree with that. I remember a couple of times Gerald has looked me in the face and said, Ryan has the ability to be on the Elite Series at any time he wants to. He just chose a different direction. He chose to get married, chose to have a family, and that was what was important to him. But Gerald has told me that Ryan's a phenomenal fisherman and has the opportunity to be on the Elite Series if he wanted to several times.
He's pretty dang good. Like, I ain't even gonna lie and shortcut like cupcake it for you. Like he's pretty dang good. Like we get to skipping docks. I get to laughing. Like I mean I don't skip docks all that much, and I get a little rusty because I don't do it much. And I'll hit the first dock, and he'll get to run his mouth. You gonna scare them all off. You keep hitting the docks. I'm like, you need to be quiet.
Do you ever just go like crappie fishing, brim fishing? Do you ever just kind of relax and sit back and go crappie and brim fishing?
Not really. Riley likes to catch her some brim, so I'll take her and let her catch some brim. I'll never go crappie fishing again in my life. There was one time me and Dad decided, hey, let's go crappie fishing, and we went crappie fishing, and that night he got COVID and dang near died. So I'm like, we are not crappie fishing ever again. Like, that's off the books.
Dude, that was right before the ABT 100 at Lay Lake. I remember that. Ryan was a very, very sick person. He and G both came in there like limping. They had both had it and were very, very sick. Ryan, yeah, he dang near died over COVID. And hey, dude, he had some pretty rough kidney stone action going on after the ABT championship and going down there with you to Okeechobee too.
I didn't think he was gonna make it back from Champlain or even going. Like our 19-hour drive to Champlain turned into like a 32-hour drive. Like I didn't think we was ever gonna make it. We'd pull over and we'd roll on the side of the interstate for 3 hours, and I took him to the hospital, and we sat in the hospital for the whole day. So like I thought he was gonna pass it while we was up there. Never did. Come home, they got him on the stent and whatever, and they took it out like the day before we left for Okeechobee, and like he was perfectly fine. As soon as they got it out, he was like, I feel great. Like there's nothing wrong with me.
I want to say you've talked about the 10-hour, 4-hour trip from Arkansas to Kentucky Lake that turned into 10, your 16, 17-hour trip to New York turning into 32 because of things like that. At any time, have you just sat back and thought of this was the way it was supposed to happen? Like it was meant to be? Because I hear anglers say all the time, everything just happened the way it was supposed to happen. And I'm not taking away the work that you've put in, dude, but when you talk about some of those things, it just seems like it was your time.
That I really think that's most of it. When it's your time, you can't do nothing wrong. And a funny story the other day talking about time, and I took out of this little lake I was in. There was an older gentleman standing on the bank, and he asked me if I had live scope. And I was like, yeah. And I think he said he was in his 80s. He said, I've been dying to get a boat and have it. Like I ain't ever looked at it before. And something in my gut said, take this old man out and show him what it looks like. And I took him out, showed him everything, amazed by it. I pulled back up to the bank, took my boat out, pulled up. And as soon as I pulled up, an old guy pulled into the ramp, and he come up to me and he asked how I like my motor and everything like that. Just shooting the crap, talking about whatever. And I noticed he got quiet, and he said, my wife died 2 days ago, and I've been dying for somebody to talk to, and I ain't had no one to talk to. He's like, this is the ramp we come and sat on, watch the sunset, all this other stuff. And he's like, I don't think I can live another day.
Oh,
and I told him, I was like, dude, all you can do is keep doing the things that made her happy and know she's watching from above. And he bawled his eyes out and said that I was the best gentleman he's ever talked to in his life. And I was like, that's the reason God gave me that feeling in my stomach to take that old man, because he knew if I didn't, I would leave before that other guy got here. Yep. It's pretty crazy.
I had a little moment before I got you on here, and I was talking about just the season of being thankful, because that's kind of where we are. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving, and I've watched your dad probably stress over it. I'm not going to say he stresses more than Kelly, because Kelly, she can't hardly deal with it. She has to stay away and all of that. But I know your relationship with your parents, and I know your relationship with Riley and Riley's relationship with your parents. But you got a lot to be thankful for this season, dude. Got 100%. A lot to be thankful for.
Without all them, it wouldn't be possible. Like, I mean, Riley come to Okeechobee with me. Like, if they wasn't there, I would have weighed in. There was nobody there to talk to, no one cheering you on. Like, when they get there and they're screaming and yelling when you're walking across the stage, like it's just a different type of feeling to know like there's people here that actually enjoy seeing me succeed and everything like that. They're not going to talk down on nothing. They're there to watch you do good and watch you fish.
It is. And I will say, from a parent's perspective, I had to sit there and watch Jake squat a whole lot of games behind the plate. And I will never once hate spending the money that I spent, or the time that I spent, or the countless hours of driving that I spent to watch him chase his dream.
100%.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the Bassmaster Elite Series schedule. And I, unfortunately, did not make my notes on which one of these are no live scope and which one aren't. I do know Lake Gunnersville is no live scope. That's going to be your first event as a Bassmaster Elite Series angler. How do you feel about going in there with no live scope?
I like it. Like, I really think it's going to make my odds better to do better in that tournament. Just having local knowledge, knowing in February what they set up on, doing a few different techniques to try to catch some bigger ones. With scope, it was kind of just going to be a shootout. Who could catch 33 instead of 30? In this one, now with no scope, the weights are definitely going to be a little lower, but I do feel like it's going to give me a little bit of an advantage. And I might bomb, who knows? But I do feel like it's going to give me a little bit more of an advantage living there and knowing how the grass grows, where it grows, and where to catch them.
Starting off, your first two events will be in Alabama, Lake Gunnersville and Lake Martin. I know you've spent time on Lake Martin, but probably not as much as Lake Gunnersville for sure.
No, definitely not. I think I've been to Martin like 2 or 3 times. So it's a fish catching lake. You can catch the fire out of them down there. You just got to find the bigger ones. And we do get to use scope there. It is in Alabama. I'm glad I ain't got to drive too far for the first two. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to go down there and just get my 3 days of practice in and hope I land on them.
Good. The next one, Tennessee Tom Bigby Waterway. Have you ever been there?
Never seen it.
Okay. Arkansas River. Going to be there in April.
Never seen it. Never heard nothing about it. I don't know. We'll see.
I like it. Lake Murray. Have you ever been to Lake Murray?
I have not.
All right. Santee Cooper. I don't
Never
remember
been.
you going to Santee either. I was
No.
looking back. I didn't think I'd seen anything. The Pasquotank, I know that was new on the on the Bassmaster Elite Series last year. The Pasquotank River, that's in June.
Never seen it. Who knows? I mean, like, I really don't think about them, honestly. Like, I'm just going to show up and do my thing and see what happens.
I know you've been at Lake Champlain before. You were there for an EQ event, so about the same time of the year, late August, middle to late August.
The only thing that's going to be weird about that one is you cannot scope in that tournament. And that is one lake, like, scope is very, like, it's very, you need it a lot there because, like, them smallmouth getting 80 foot and swim around, and you can't just drop something and catch them and reel around and catch them. So I'm definitely going to have to change my game plan up there. I think I'm going to chase some largemouth, see how that goes. I might try to catch some shallow smallmouth and whatnot, but I don't know. I'm going to definitely try to target largemouth though.
Awesome. Then you finish up the year at St. Lawrence.
Been there one time, and I zeroed. So, I'm going.
It can only go up, dude. It can only go up.
That's the whole thing. I've been there one time, and I zeroed and that's probably the worst tournament I've ever had in my life. Like, I hardly caught any bass in practice and hardly caught nothing in the tournament. I had 15 pounds the first day, and I zeroed the second day. 15 pounds on St. Lawrence River is might as well a zero. Like, that's not going to do nothing. So I'm going to go into that one and just, I mean, all I can do is get a little better. So I'm going to try to take baby steps, try to just hunker down in some areas and just see what happened. I think last time I was there, I got a little bit spun out because the place is so big and I tried to cover way too much water and didn't just stay in an area and locate fish. I kind of was all over the place.
Good deal. I want to ask you about the Bassmaster Team Championship. That's the next event on your schedule, I guess.
Yes,
last chance to make the Bassmaster Classic. Last chance to kind of fish with your dad in an event like that. I know you're going to fish the 100s in 2026, but any ideas going into Lake Hartwell in 2 weeks for the Bass Team Championship?
I went up there a couple weeks ago. Before the off limits and all that stuff, and I think it's off limits now, but I went before it went off limits and had a really good practice for 4 days up there. Like, I think I figured out enough of a deal to catch them, But I mean, you going up there going for broke, so we're going to swing for the win. Who cares? We either going to finish last or we're going to win. That's the. It doesn't matter anything in between. So we're going to see what we can do. I hope the fish stay put. It was a lot warmer when I was there, and it done had cold snaps, so they could have moved. But I'm hoping they're doing the same deal.
Good deal. Good deal. Want to give you a chance. We are in the year of Thanksgiving, or the week of Thanksgiving, and my team is doing some videos. Is there anything you'd like to say? What are you most thankful for this holiday season, Mr. Fisher?
Oh, definitely my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, and then the sponsors that make it possible for me to travel this country. Because, I mean, I turned 20, though. I about said 19. I turned 20 yesterday. So, being a 20-year-old kid and not, I mean, you don't have enough money in your pockets and your bank to travel and fish for a living. So, without them, it wouldn't have been possible.
You know, I said something the other day. One of our ABT anglers made a comment on a post that you were on with Luke Duncan, and he said, "What is the difference between setting your kid up in an interview with a company that maybe you know of, or helping your kid start a business?" It's the same exact thing, and I applauded him for the kind words that he had, because I get so sick of hearing, "Well, he wouldn't be able to do it if his daddy didn't do this." You made a conscious decision to not go to college and fish.
Yep.
That wasn't your path. You wanted to go into the opens and see if you could make it. What was your deciding factor there? Because I know you had offer after offer, because I talked to your dad and your parents about it many times.
I mean, I barely made it through high school. I mean, I didn't go to high school my last 4 years. So, like, I went half the year my freshman year and didn't go the rest. And I knew if I struggle this bad in high school, there's no way I'm making college. I mean, I'm not the type of person, I'm not going to go put in work and not get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how my thought process was on it. And I'm like, why would I get them to waste money and try to send me to college and do whatever? Or do I just go fish the opens and see if I'm ready? And I just decided to take the path to go fish the opens and try to jumpstart my career. And after the first one finishing really good, like, my confidence was through the roof. So it was like, it just carried on to the rest of the events of the year. After that first one, I was like, all right, I can compete with these guys and I can do it. So let's get it rolling.
Good, good. Well, I think that's important, because college isn't for everybody, and it is a big growing sector of our business in the fishing industry, but it's not for everybody. And so I did enjoy kind of watching you navigate that, and talking with your parents about that. So, dude, I appreciate you taking this much time with me. I wanted to go through your schedule, because I could not get over, after I started like diving down deep into this, is like a number of big time tournaments that you were in this year and had phenomenal finishes. I mean, Neely Henry, your worst finish of the year, 69th place. One tournament, dude, like one tournament. I'm just blown away. I really appreciate you taking time. Guys, this is your 2026 Bassmaster, 2025 EQ Angler of the Year, and the newest Bassmaster Elite Series angler, Mr. Fisher Anaya. Congratulations, and thank you for being on the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do it. You too.
There you go, everyone. Fisher Anaya, your newest Bassmaster Elite Series angler. We'll be back in just a moment with segment 3 of the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast, presented by Phoenix Boats. Y'all stay tuned.
Nobody wants to run out of power when they're on the water. There is a better way. Introducing the Charge Marine Power Management Station from PowerPole that does the work of 3 devices: a traditional battery charger, a charge on the run, and an emergency start system. PowerPole Charge.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast. I want to thank Fisher for taking time out of his morning to be with us and talk through his season, and I look forward to watching him on the Bassmaster Elite Series next year. In this segment, we normally talk about, how many days we have and all that, but before we do that, I wanted to touch on something that I'm seeing circulate on social media like wildfire. And that is the permitting process, the marine permitting process for the state of Alabama. And I want to say, this is not a new function of the state. This has been around. I've been running the Alabama Bass Trail now for 12 seasons, and we've applied for permits for every event we've ever done. most of you know, I think I mentioned in a different podcast that we had a meeting with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency on October the 23rd in regards to the boating safety certificates, boater safety certification that was required as of October 1st, 2024. And the majority of that conversation was surrounding the collection of that data and how tournament organizers are going to be held accountable for that particular documentation, and whether or not the state would have an access point for us to be able to check that, all of the things. Because I want to be real clear. When you're a tournament organization the size of the Alabama Bass Trail, had an opportunity to talk to someone from BASS this week, and we were just talking about the way that you handle that type of documentation and how you house that, and it's not an easy process. And he mentioned to me, he goes, I've got an entire admin staff that takes care of that. Well, just FYI, we have 2 employees, myself and Angela, and we don't have an admin staff. We are the admin staff. So it is a little difficult for us to be able to not only collect the data, but also keep it housed in a secure location and be able to put our hands on it at any given time. And not only is it a full-time job to do that, it is also quite expensive, to the tune of about $28,000 to be able to have a service like DocuSign collect that information and keep it in a secure location. It's and that's important to us, that your information is not housed in a situation that can be compromised. So not only does that put risk, or that puts you at some type of risk when you have all of that data together, it's a full-time job. Making sure that we have W-9 so that we can accurately give the IRS the information on winnings from the year, but also having your addresses to where we can mail your checks after you win or after you place high enough to get a check, but also to report accurately to the IRS, and then to make sure that you have documented that you've received a copy of the rules, and then also to make sure that you have your boater safety certificate and that you have adequate insurance on your boat. So that's a lot of information to collect that we are not necessarily familiar with. I know what a vessel endorsement looks like on a license. We've been checking that for years, meaning we've been checking your driver's license and your fishing license. And we'll still do that. But understand, we're 2 people. We have 1,100 anglers. And then when you factor in the number of alternates that we have, probably have 1,300 anglers that we're responsible for. And I'll go on the record and say, fishermen don't check their email, or they don't read their email, or they don't respond as quickly as you would like for them to. And so that means you got to follow up with them over and over and over, and some of them 7 times before you get what you're asking for. So it's a pain in the butt. It's not easy. And that was what I was trying to communicate to the state. As a law enforcement officer, this is something they do all the time. They are very familiar with it. As an organizer, I'm worried about making sure the capitalization's right, that we've collected all of our funds, that we have all of those funds in the bank ready to pay you when you win, making sure that we have all of this other documentation. Oh, by the way, we're also producing a live show, and we're producing a TV show, and we're producing podcasts, and we're getting ready for registration for the next year, and we're handling 35 sponsors and 8 board members. So there's a lot that goes into running our organization that takes precedence over whether or not we've had this documentation. So that was what I was trying my best to get across to the people down at Aaliyah. Chief Brooks and I have talked for years and years and years. He was at our first few events back in 2014, 2015. They had a presence there, but spent about 3 hours in their office on October the 23rd, along with the Alabama Bass Trail attorney that we have on retainer, as well as Mr. Jack Tibbs, our current sitting chairman of our board. We want to make sure that our host cities are protected. We want to make sure our organization is protected, and make sure that our anglers are protected. And so we spent about 3 hours there. The permit process is not new. When we first started, it was told to us that anything over 100 boats or 100 participants should apply for a permit. I've heard rumor here and there. People have talked to the Leah and they've said anything with 2 boats or 200 boats. It didn't matter. Everybody had to have a permit. That is not what I was led to believe when I was there a couple weeks ago. I was led to believe that they do want to have a better accountability of how many tournaments are going on. And they are going to have a heavier presence on the water during tournaments. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I think by and large, tournament anglers, especially ones that are in a $10,000 first place or $15,000 first place tournament, have what they're supposed to have. They have all the equipment that they're supposed to have in their boat. They have their vessel license. I think by and large that's the case. However, when we sent this out in October for our championship, there were 50 or 60 of those people who did not have the completed documentation. And they were scrambling to get that. So the permit is the permit. I've seen that it says whoever signs that permit is assuming liability. It does not state that in the permit at all. It says that you are required to have a designated safety plan in place in the event something happens. So, for instance, the Alabama Bass Trail, we have someone checking in boats out on the water. If we have a boat, let's say boat 77 doesn't check in within 30 minutes of his time, we have a process. Mr. Danny calls. If he doesn't get them, he'll wait 10 or 15 minutes. He'll call back, and then he radios to the desk that he can't get in touch with them. Then I go and I try to get in touch with them. And if we're unable to do so, then we know to contact the authorities. We go back to their profile. We know what kind of boat they're in. We know what type of truck they're in. So if we can find a Phoenix trailer on a Chevrolet from Georgia, if we've narrowed it down that far, then they can run the tag to see if that's the particular truck and boat that we're looking for. Then we know if we need to send a search party out. We do have a safety plan. We have a text group that goes out to all anglers if we have inclement weather. If there has been an accident in a certain part of the lake that we want to keep everybody away from. We've had this at Eufaula that we needed to stay out of a certain part of the lake at Eufaula because there was a body in the water. We have that capability of doing that. We also have drone capability of being able to check fog for up to 3 miles away from where we're currently sitting. So we have certain things in place for a safety plan. That is what the permit at the bottom says, is that you are assuring the state that you have a safety plan in place. We have an inclement weather policy. It's in our rules. In the event of inclement weather, we move to Sunday. So it does state that you have to have a safety plan in place. It does not state who is liable for those anglers that are in that tournament. We cover that in our terms and conditions that we have you sign. But at the end of the day, Aaliyah is going to do an investigation on any accident that happens, and they are going to determine who is at fault. And understand, who is at fault and who is to blame may be different. They stated in the accident that happened at Smith Lake that nothing MLF did contributed to this accident. It will be left up to a judge to decide who is at fault and who will be penalized. So I think going out there and stating that if you sign this document that you are liable and will be held liable for 450 anglers on the water is a little premature. I don't even think Aaliyah can say that you're liable for that. I think that's going to come down to what a judge says. So someone in the organization does have to sign that permit, but I think that there's no way that you can state that that person is liable for 450 anglers. It states that you're responsible for the way that event runs and having a safety plan in place. So, again, you file those permits 15 days ahead of your event. For instance, at Wilson Lake, our tournament was on November the 1st. We filed our permit 15 days ahead of time. We got our permit on October the 31st, probably midday. Yeah, I have an issue with that. November, I have a hard time believing there was a ton of events going on the water. I think the Alabama Bass Trail has a 12-year history of how we do things. I don't think it should have taken 16 days for us to get our permit, but it did. So if you're thinking that you're going to file your permit and get your application and then get your permit the end of the week, probably not going to happen, especially in those February, March, April, May, June timeframes. I would have thought in November that it would have been a little bit slower, but we filed it 15 days ahead of time, and we got our permit on the 31st, probably around, 1, 2 o'clock that day. Most of you might remember when we were talking about the slot limit, I said the permitting process, the way it currently is, will not work on the slot limit. You can't just permit 5 tournaments on a lake for a month because we sell out in August. If I can't apply for my permit till 15 days before my event and then you deny my permit, and I have a 225 boat field set to come there in August, and you deny my permit in February, how's that going to work? So that is the way the current application works. Do I expect that to change? I do. I expect them to put some wording on there that the organization has verified that all of the participants have a valid boating license. How you and your organization choose to do that, that's completely up to you. But I do think that if you do nothing else, you should have a Xerox copy of everyone who's participating in your tournament, give you a copy of the back of their license. At minimum, I feel like you should do that. I feel like every organization, if you run tournaments, you should look into having a general liability policy. If you're interested, I'll be glad to give you our agency's name. I make nothing off of it. But I do think that a general liability policy is something you should consider. I'm not a legal advisor. I am not here to give you legal advice, and I am dang sure not here to tell you how to run your events. I am telling you from working with the Department of Conservation and working with ALEA for the past 12 years that they are going to be more involved. They are going to be more present. And I think in saying that, they're going to be more responsive. So I know as anglers, you just want to go fishing. And you know what? We want you to. I want you buying Phoenix bass boats with Yamahas and Garmins and power poles and all the things. I want you doing that. I want you buying Crush City freeloaders. I want you doing that. We want you patronizing our sponsors. And if you're not fishing and you're not fishing in tournaments, are you going to do that? So we want you fishing, and we want you fishing in the state of Alabama. But unfortunately, accidents happen, and we're all just trying to protect ourselves, our anglers, and the families left at home from sadness and from the loss of life, and what happened was an accident. I mean, it was a terrible accident. Could it have been avoided? Probably. Not for me to judge. But I do know that if we want to continue to have high dollar tournaments or even club tournaments that aren't high dollar tournaments, that we're going to have to abide by the law, and we're going to have to do what we have to do. At what point we feel like that it is overreach or that we feel like it is ruining our business, then we have to stand up and talk about that. But I can say, I think Clint Miller will tell you this. I think Lee Holmes will tell you this. I think Bill Mayo will tell you this from Coosa River, that I've reached out to each one of them and talked to them after my time with Aaliyah, what my suggestions were, told them they could do whatever they wanted to. But we need to be involved. We need to be informed, and we need to make our decisions for our individual organizations. And that's all I can say for you. If you're running tournaments, whether you're running a club tournament, whether you're running a high school tournament, whether you're running BASS, MLF, MPFL, whatever, you have to make the best decision for your organization and for your people. And that's about all I can say about that. Before we go on, I do want to mention that we are 6 days away from the ABT 100 payments being due. That is December the 1st. Hopefully prior to 5 p.m., you'll have those payments in. You'll go to alabamabastrail100.org, click register, enter your team ID and PIN number, and then enter your payment and make sure that those are satisfied. All teams will be replaced off of the waiting list if you fail to make your payment by December the 1st. And then ABT payments, you have 24 days, December the 19th by 5 p.m. To have your payments in. Again, alabamabasstrail.org. Click on register, click on your 2026 balance payment option, and then enter your team ID and PIN number. You have the option to pay $500. You can split that between the team members. You're still going to be charged a 3.5% credit card processing fee. So if you pay $500, it'll be $517.50, and if you pay the $1,000, it'll be $1,035. So it doesn't cost you any more to pay the two $500 payments, but you will see a 3.5% credit card processing fee on top of that. So I've covered about all the business that I feel like we need to cover here. And I'm going to give Ben the time now to show you some of the videos that were sent in from our team, our Alabama Bass Trail team, our live team, our board of directors, and maybe a sponsor or two to tell you what they're most thankful for this season. So I am going to let Ben lead us out with those videos. But as always, make sure that you hug your mom and them. Make sure that you love on those fur babies and give them a little extra treat every now and again. And be present where your feet are. Enjoy your family. Enjoy this holiday season. I know that I will. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. God bless, good fishing, and peace out.
Hey guys, this is Noah Dickinson. I'm the photographer for the Alabama Bass Trail. This Thanksgiving season, I'm thankful for all my friends, my family, my wife, everyone that supports me to be able to do photography for Alabama Bass Trail, and especially all the friends I've made along the way with Alabama Bass Trail. Happy Thanksgiving. Love you guys.
Hi, my name is Candace Johnson, and I work for the University of Alabama Office for Business Engagement Services, and I'm a member of the Alabama Bass Trail Board of Directors. This holiday season, I'm most thankful for my faith and family. I'm very blessed with a family that is very close. We get together for every birthday and every holiday and just enjoy spending time together around food, family, and friends, and talk about all our memories that we have on our family land. So very happy and thankful for a wonderful, close family. Happy holidays.
Hey, my name is AJ Petty, and I work for the ABT Crew. I help with stage setup and stage breakdown, and then I also work on the fish carrier trailer during the tournament. I guess what I would say, biggest thing I'm thankful for is just the guys and gals I get to work alongside with during these tournaments. I've known most of these people for only 3 or 4 years, but it really does seem like a lifetime because of the bonds and relationships I've made over these past few years. It's really something special and neat and really cool to be a part of.
Hey guys, Jason Duran here. I get to do so many exciting things when it comes to the Alabama Bass Trail. One of those being bringing you on the water coverage with Luke and Darian each week, showing you what it takes to fish this trail live. We get to talk to anglers and get to know them and interview them as the action happens. We get to see some great fish catches during those shows. I also do preview stories and post-game stories. I get to write about the lake before the tournament ever begins, get to talk about the seasonal patterns from anglers, and then I get to write the post-game story. In the post-game story, you get to hear from the winner what it took to win that event. And then I also do social media on the stage while guys are holding up their fish, showing their catches from the day. We get to push that out to everybody to see what's happening during the event live. So this year, I'm so thankful that number one, the ABT family, you guys are so amazing. You allow us to live out our dream. You work so hard each and every week to give us what we need to be able to get on the water, to do the coverage, and just get all those information that we need and all those great stories. So thank you, ABT family. Thank you to the fans. Thank you for even tuning in and watching what we do. That's so important for us. I know you don't have to watch, but somehow you're interested in what we do, and we're thankful that what we do is interesting to you. Also, I want to thank the anglers. You guys don't have to give us a time of day when we pull up to you on the water or we call you on the phone to do an interview, but you do. Thank you for giving the story. Thank you for telling the story to those people at home that really want to watch it. So I'm so thankful for my ABT family. I'm also thankful here at my Phoenix family, allowing me to live out my dream as well, working with customers each and every day, talking about their boat, hearing about their fish catches as well. So it's been a great year. Looking forward to next year. Going to be an even better year. So thanks again. Happy Thanksgiving.
My name is Kevin Neal. I am part of the crew for the Alabama Bass Trail. And one of the things I'm most thankful for is my beautiful wife, Megan. She's an amazing mother, wonderful person, just holds the family together. She is the glue for sure. Me and my 2 kids would be lost without her, and they would tell you that.
This is Luke Duncan, the voice of the Alabama Bass Trail, as Miss Kay calls me. I MC the weigh-ins. I do live coverage, and today I'm whispering from a deer stand. And this is one of the things that I'm thankful for. Sunrises in a deer stand, spending time in the outdoors with my kids. I'm very thankful for my bass fishing family and all I get to do in the bass fishing world. And I'm especially thankful for the ABT family that includes the anglers and the staff. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving.
I'm Tyler Johnson. I come to work for ABT this year, and I normally help out with parking in the mornings and help with the construction of the stage. I've made a lot of good friends and relationships as I've been working there this year, and we have a really good team. One of the most things I'm thankful for this season is my family and my friends and the good health that we have. And I just want to remind everybody that we should be thankful each and every day and not just this week. And hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving and a good holiday.
Hi, I'm Frank Doganero. I'm in charge of all the fish care for the Alabama Bass Trail. Like many, this year I'm thankful for my family, my wonderful wife Asha and my 2 beautiful kids, Amelia and Frankie. From my family to yours, happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Joy Perry with the Cherokee County Chamber of Commerce and Tourism, and I have the honor of serving on the Board of Directors of the Alabama Bass Trail. The thing that I am most thankful for this Thanksgiving is my wonderful family.
What's up, guys? My name's Todd South. I work with the Alabama Bass Trail. I don't have one particular job. I do many, and whatever needs to be done is basically what I do. A couple of things I'm thankful for this season. My wife and my kids is at the top of the list. Couldn't do any of it without them. Secondly is the ABT team, man. We've got a good group of guys and gals. We've had to endure some things this year, and we lifted each other up and ran with it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a better group of people that I'd rather be standing beside than the ones that we have right here at the Alabama Bass Trail. I love each and every one of them to death. I'm very, very thankful for them.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben. I'm the drone operator and videographer for Alabama Bass Trail, and I'm thankful for my wife, my daughter, all my friends and family, and I'm really thankful for the ABT because the ABT came to me in a time where I really needed it, and I just jumped at the opportunity, took it with both hands and ran with it, and it's been good to me. The ABT family, the crew has been great to me, and I'm thankful to be part of the team, and I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kay Donaldson, the director of the Alabama Bass Trail. And one of the things that I'm most thankful for this holiday season is a healthy family. If you know, you truly know. God bless Y'all enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving season.
Thanks for listening to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast. To learn more about the Alabama Bass Trail, make sure and visit alabamabasstrail.org.